The truth is really secondary when you're a Democrat. It's whatever is most useful to you. And we've been seeing, this is very curious. They're almost running like Republicans, right? They're almost running like freedom, mind your business. They came out and said Kamala Harris was going to lower your taxes. Like they're like, stay out of our kids' lives, all that type of stuff. That's Republicans. You're the ones who want to come into schools and shove pornography into the kids' faces. Eat it, because they're sick. They're the ones who want to come in and set up hotlines so that you can snitch on your neighbors when they're playing basketball during COVID pandemic emergencies, right? They're these people who will never leave you alone unless you're on their team. So they're so disconnected. They don't even want, this is the Commerce Secretary, is asked about the jobs report that says that they lied about 800,000 jobs, probably much more than that. Lied about it. Okay, look, it's not a margin of error problem. Okay, they weren't off by like 2% or something. It was almost 1 million jobs. It's fraud by any other business, any other metric. Okay, if you did this with your company, reported this back, you'd be charged with fraud. All right, company would go under. What do you mean? We're less down 800,000. Okay, all right, so. She gets asked about this, and they're so just anti-Trump. She thinks this is some crazy Trump talking point. What is this?
When you hear that, do you potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No. When I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, you're the Commerce Secretary. Have you heard of the Bureau of Labor before? Maybe we should start there. Did you go to your orientation class to figure out what all these different agencies are that you're in charge of? Did somebody give you a note about this? It's your own numbers. It's not Trump just pulled them out of his booty. They're your numbers from other agencies, right? You guys are lying about the numbers and they just don't want to believe it. So it's not good. JD Vance posted this, says, stolen valor. Tim Walz abandoned his troops so that he could run for political office. Says, don't take my word for it. Just listen to the people who served with him.
When his country and his state called out for leadership, Tim Walz abandoned them. In early 2005, his National Guard unit was ordered to deploy to Iraq. He said he'd go, but instead, he retired, leaving his soldiers without their senior non-commissioned officer.
He abandoned us. As soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way. And
Governor Walz had disappeared and retired out and left basically his troops.
The New York Times exposed Walz misrepresented his military record. In May 2020, as Black Lives Matter rioters burned down a police station, Governor Tim Walz again abandoned the people who counted on his leadership. Instead of immediately sending in the National Guard and coordinating with police, he downplayed the situation and let the city burn. Twice, Tim Walz was called to lead. Twice, he ran away.
And a great ad. And when the burning was happening, remember, his wife was commiserating with the constituents there in Minnesota. In fact, she wanted to be so connected with their own pain and their suffering that she opened her windows so she could smell the burning businesses in the morning. Love those torched hopes and dreams and lifelong investments. I feel for you people. And then they just sat there and let it happen. So here's another fact check. Trump War Room posted this one, clipped over from Fox, talking about the COVID tip line that they did not mention at the DNC last night. Mind your own damn business, unless you're out playing basketball without a mask on during the lockdown restrictions. Then you're probably going to go to jail.
Elizabeth Pipko, he left out the part about having his neighbors rat each other out during COVID or shooting his neighbors with paintballs when they came on the porch and putting his neighbors in jail because they opened their business in COVID. That neighborliness never quite made the speech.
No, it didn't, Trace. You know what else didn't make the speech? Where he said that one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness, right? There's a reason certain things make certain speeches and certain things don't, right? There's a reason someone like me is in the position I am right now, and that's because my parents fled from the very socialism that he likes to make jokes about back in the Soviet Union. There's a reason that we have to dig up everything that Tim Walz has said, because what he says on this convention stage tonight might not be where he actually stands and might not be what the plans are that he and Kamala Harris have for the future of this country, and that's what matters.